All right.
Okay, Wendy, I got the oath. It is the same one.
Okay, do you want to just go ahead and read your oath?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I will. I, Mario Rubino, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I'm about to enter.
Thank you, Treasurer Rubino.
Congratulations.
Welcome to the party.
It took
It
It was a long road.
Too
We start
long.
this meeting.
Give me one sec, Dave. I did have some supplemental information for the old business items, and I just shared them in the chat. So I will also put them on the screen for people. But I wanted to make sure those files were available ahead of time. But here, let me do this. All right, whenever you're ready, Dave.
All right. Good evening, everybody. This is the Dunsmuir City Council meeting for January 21st, 2021. This is Big Dave, and I'm taking over for Matthew, our mayor. He and the First Lady are on their honeymoon. Some were very nice. Congratulations, and you guys enjoy yourselves. Okay. Could we get okay, I'll call the order. Let's do a flag. Bruce, would you lead us in the flag salute, please?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Could I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Lucchese,
Present.
Councilmember Deutsch,
Present?
Vice Mayor Keisler,
Here.
Mayor Bryan, I show as absent. Councilmember Arth, I show as absent.
Actually, I've got Peter. I think he's just still muted.
You got
Peter, you should be able to talk.
Here.
Good. Okay, I have
All right,
Councilmember
welcome to
Arth.
the party.
Thank
All right,
you.
we have no special presentations or announcements, but before we go into public comment, I would like to ask everybody if we would please, let's have a moment of silence for all the corona victims close, Miss Juliana, and worldwide.
Big Dave, I didn't get any of what you said. Could you say it again?
I asked everybody to give us a moment of silence for all the corona victims, close and worldwide.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. At this time, I'll open up the podium to public comment. If you have something to say, you have 3 minutes. If you have something to say that is not on the agenda, each speaker will be given 3 minutes to make their statement or may present their questions in a chat function.
I'm not seeing any hands raised, and I don't.
Wait, I can't find my hand.
Okay.
It's at the end of your arm.
Not on this one. Why
We
is
got
it?
you, Mario. Go ahead.
I do this all the time and there's no hand all of a sudden. Where is the hand? Anyway,
Forget
my
the
hand.
hand, Mario. You got the floor, sir.
Mayor, I would want to know now, do you actually have an agenda item for committee meetings? Or is that just going to be done under discussion of committees?
I'm not sure I understand the question. You're asking me if we're going to have a committee meeting?
Is there a actual agenda item that says committee meeting? Committee assignments.
Yes, there is. It is under our new business, the Finance Committee appointments.
I will wait until then. Thank you.
Hey, Mario, I'm going to intercede here. Due to your health and the situation, I know you're tired, brother. If you'd like to make a statement to the three of us right now, or the four of us here, go ahead. We'll let your statement roll over.
I would greatly appreciate that, and I'm very sorry to have to do it. Council, quickly, I'd just like to say that if you were setting up a basketball game and you wanted to win, you hired a couple shills, two guys that could play really good, and the rest of the team is sitting on the bench or not really participating. That's unfair and that's wrong. The deal with being on council is you are fiducially responsible to the city, as you all know. And I need all of you guys to participate with the financials of the city. So what I'm hoping for today is that we can now open up the finance committee to the other members of the council. As you guys all know, when you sign up to become a council member, you don't have any prerequisite education or knowledge. The city manager is our business manager for the city of Dunsmuir. He gets paid very well. It's because he's very knowledgeable. We also have a financial manager that gets paid very well. I mean, I know that any of the people sitting on the council would love to have their salaries. And so their job is to help us as council to understand what's happening and how the finances of a city work. So my interest in this is that the city, after the audits that I've watched and the budgets that I've watched, the city is running short of time and to deal with a lot of different issues. And I now need, as we all know, council doesn't get to make the decision to tax anymore. It's 218. It's up to the citizens to vote for a tax. We need to get on dealing with several issues. We have an issue with sewer. We have an issue with solid waste, and we're going to probably have an issue with water. And we still have yet to solve the issue around the general fund and the increase on the police force. And so what I'm hoping for is to get people that can really talk to the community. We failed in our last attempt to get a vote for a tax through. I'm hoping that we get high vote getters from the past election and good communicators on this finance committee, because we have some serious work to do. And also because I have total faith that this council has the ability, each and every member, to handle the knowledge of the finances of the city. And I want
Ariel, that's time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mario.
Thank you, Mario.
Thank you.
Anybody else out there?
I do not see any other hands for general public comment. And just to reiterate, we will have another chance for public comment on the Finance Committee appointments later in the agenda.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Item 5. Council, and we'll start with City Manager. Todd, what you got?
So a couple things you'll see on the consent agenda was the active transportation plan. Juliana and I have been working on an application that needs to go in very soon. An active transportation plan, as many of you know, is a way for us to look at ways to get around the city by foot and by bike and by mass transit, and then working with the public and figuring out what the most important projects are. And with understanding what the most important projects are, having a rank ordered project list and the cost, then it makes us more competitive when we're looking for transportation dollars for the, from the state and from other sources. And that also, while it might have an active transportation component, it also may allow us to fix streets that are in disrepair. So it's a way of accounting for a number of things. And the active transportation plan, of course, has good public health outcomes. If you're getting out and walking and biking, it's good for tourism, and it's good for folks that don't own vehicles. So that's one thing. Two, working with Stephen Bryan and Siskiyou Public Health and the folks that I know that are with Moderna down in Reading to see if we can get another couple of vaccine clinics up in the city. And those are the two major items. I've reached out to UP about the Mossbury Trail and where they are in review and haven't heard back yet, but there's a lot of stuff cooking right now. One other thing is the solid waste RFP responses are due at the end of the month. So that's going to take a lot of all of our time reviewing those and figuring out, based on the responses, what kind of services we need to offer based on state mandate, and what are things that are desirable, and what kind of costs that city residents are able to absorb, if any. And that's it.
Question. Todd, how many responses have we received so far?
I haven't looked at them because I'm not, once I put it out, the only contact should be with Blake. I know we have 2 coming.
Okay.
I don't know of a third yet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, is Ben Weststein?
Yeah, give me
With us
one
tonight?
sec. Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
I'm here.
Ben, go for it.
Oh, no, good evening, everybody. I was going to report the December statistics of 2020. We had 635 patrol hours in the city of Dunsmuir. We had 189 total calls for service that included self-initiated activity. We took 15 cases, 34 traffic-related stops, issued 13 citations. We had 7 arrests that came with 3 felony bookings and 8 misdemeanor bookings. Some of the details of the arrest: we had a misdemeanor arrest for public intoxication near Chevron, 1 felony warrant arrest and a misdemeanor possession of 0.9 grams of methamphetamine at the Amtrak station, 1 misdemeanor arrest for violation of a domestic violence restraining order on Dunsmuir Avenue, 1 arrest for felony violation of probation and misdemeanor possession of drug paraphernalia, 1 felony warrant arrest on Sacramento Avenue, and 1 arrested for 2 misdemeanor warrants on Siskiyou. The last one was 1 misdemeanor arrest for public intoxication on Sacramento Avenue. We had 1 burglary in Dunsmuir on Siskiyou Avenue. It was a storage shed. We had 5 thefts. 3 were on Dunsmuir Avenue, 1 on Eleanor, 1 on Edith. No auto thefts, no assault and batteries, no domestic disturbances. 1 vandalism on Sacramento Avenue. We did 30 school checks and had 7 disturbing the peace calls. So any questions or comments on the December report?
Nope, just thank you for your service and your dedication. Stay safe.
Thank you. Just one last thing. I just wanted to update council on the new developments here. This is my last council meeting as the Dunsmuir chief, effective Sunday. Sergeant Sam Kubowitz will be taking up the torch and running with it. So I anticipate that the sheriff is going to be introducing him to council at the February 4th council meeting, I believe it is, when he does the annual report for the contract. But I just want to say it's been a pleasure working with the council and city staff. You guys have all taught me a lot about what it takes to have a good partnership with the city, and I just look forward to continuing partnerships in the future. And I just want to let everybody know that I will still be available if anybody has any questions or comments. The Dunsmuir Sergeant falls under my management, so I'm going to stay connected to the goings on in Dunsmuir. So again, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, sir, for your service and your dedication. We appreciate all you've done for us, and we wish you well in the future. And I know Sam, Kubowitz is a good guy. Somebody made a right choice. Does anybody else have anything to say?
I certainly
Peter
do.
had
I'd like to say thank you and good luck to Ben.
Thank you, sir.
I'd like to say the same thing, Ben. It's been a real pleasure working with you. I know that we spent a lot of long hours at neighborhood watch meetings looking for folks, and it was a pleasure to have your professionalism, your caring for the community, and I look forward to hearing great things from you. And also, congratulations on your new marriage.
Thank you very much. The last thing I'd point out about the new appointment is the one big benefit that the city of Dunsmuir is going to get with Sam Kubowitz is that he's a canine officer, so you guys get your own canine. So
Cool.
Sweet.
You'll be seeing him around town.
Right on. Look forward to it. Thank you again, Ben.
Yep, thank you.
And like Bruce said, congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Okay, moving on. Blake, you have anything to say? Just thought I'd give you a shot.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Vice Mayor Keisler. I just wanted to mention that SNL Group has been swapping out meters. So that's exciting. That's part of the USDA water main replacement project, the big $10 million project. So just wanted to point that out.
That explains all the pace trucks and all the commotion in Northtown.
Yep, you got it.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. Well, I try and consider myself a gentleman. So, Miss Juliana, you want to go first?
Sure, thank you. So as city manager, Juha said, I have been working with him and LGC on getting some photos for the ATP application to Caltrans for that sustainable transportation grant. I have to still look over that. I apologize, Todd, I haven't gotten to it yet. But I plan to do that tonight after the meeting. Other items I've been working on is assisting the Community Resource Center with trying to get funding and working with them on developing a new website. If you go to their current website, it's not amazing. So we're working on that with them. Had a really nice meeting with them, hearing about all of the food security programs and the different cooking programs that they're hoping to bring back in April, closer to the time that we're all getting vaccinated for COVID, so that we can start some of those food programs again. They've been doing a really great job in getting a ton of donations for food security programs here in Dunsmuir. And Stephen Bryan's just been doing an awesome job, and all of the volunteers and staff members who help him have just been doing really great with that. So working on that with them, trying to find some funding for small projects here and there to help them along. Mainly other projects is just kind of closing up some of the other future agenda items that were brought up. So working on the item for the historic district discussion for the next meeting. I did, just to let you know, on code enforcement and the vacant building ordinance, I am still working on John Kenny to get a memo on that so that we have that information before that item comes back for council for discussion. John's been pretty wrapped up with a couple of court cases, and I just basically on a weekly basis now kind of, poke him with a stick so that we can get that memo and have some information to have an educated discussion on that. Other than that, it's been a really long week, so I'm trying to remember everything that I'm doing.
Besides shopping for a new truck.
Yeah, we did get our insurance check today, so that was fantastic. I have more money in my bank account than I have ever had, which is, I don't know if it's sad or scary.
Can I have some?
No.
Yeah, I don't know about getting paid off by insurance companies. They ain't paying me.
We had to get quite a bit. So working on that, let me just scope my email here really quick. Just been getting random little emails here and there from people on just a couple of items throughout town, just looking into those. I brought back the visioning process for our discussion. Just a reminder, I did put 2 Word document files in the chat for those who are following along that we'll be putting up during the visioning and the committee discussion items. and just kind of helping with a couple things here and there. I did attend, actually, I'll bring that up in committee appointments and stuff. But that's about it for me. But thank you for letting me go first.
My pleasure. All right, Peter, how about you?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I have a couple of items, but I want to follow on and thank what is now my colleague, Councilmember Lucchese. Whether you're mayor or not, you are going to be a leader for the city and the community of Dunsmuir. And I'm so grateful for the leadership you've shown on the essential issues that face our community.
Hear, hear.
And I will segue from that. And as I understand it, the mayor is somewhere on a warm beach with a warm ocean, enjoying his honeymoon. And I hope the flight went well and they're having a good time. The Dunsmuir News, January 13th, I talked to Shireen Strauss and I said, how about an article on the mayor of Dunsmuir and his vision for what's going to happen in 2021? And what the paper publishes is, here's why Weed's mayor is looking forward to 2021. And it's a beautiful article, ready to blossom. Weed is brimming with possibility. And that's because they're aggressively enforcing their empty and abandoned building ordinance. There are a number of buildings on Main Street and Weed that are either being repaired or they're for sale. And one of the buildings for sale is their historic theater. So they have their cannabis business sector under control and thriving. They have a plan for their Main Street and the buildings that have no businesses, no employees, and are falling apart. And I just hope we get there sooner rather than later. We should be sistered with the cities of Mount Shasta and the city of Weed in reinvigorating Southern Siskiyou. My next thing is, we're in January, but soon enough it will be spring. As a member of the Finance Committee, we know that the citizens are going to be looking at an increase in their sewer rates. They will likely be looking at an increase in their solid waste rates. And I hope part of the visioning process is to ask the businesses and residents of Dunsmuir, what do you want in terms of solid waste, in terms of green waste, in terms of recycling, but most specifically, I would hope that we have 4 free pickup days at the community center because they work so well for so many different people. And that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Bruce, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to, first of all, point out that we have had meetings with both the Rotary Club and the Chamber to support the active transportation plan. And both of those organizations are funneling letters of support to Todd that'll be going forward with that. So he had asked for both of those organizations to see if they'd step forward to be a conduit of information flow back and forth between the businesses and community and the city. And so they're jumping on that. The other thing I wanted to point out for people who aren't aware of this, and I know it's come out periodically, but every 2 weeks now through the Resource Center, Stephen Bryan hosts a Dunsmuir Community Care Team meeting. And that meeting right now, and obviously for the last year, has been focusing on the pandemic. And we bring together all the various people in the community, from the sheriff's department to the educators to the health departments to people from the county and et cetera, and just talk about all the things that are going on and all the places where there might be a need for support. And I'm really excited to be a part of that. And I think that what Stephen has put together with that is something that is really remarkable. And I think folks can thank him next time they see him. That's all I have. Looking forward to a new year, a new day. Thanks a lot.
I have a few things. I recently took down the Christmas decorations, and Nathaniel and Rob from Backwoods Organics, they had them all took down for me. They helped me put them up, but taking them down, they had them all took down and stacked. And I mean, these guys really went the extra mile. And then I had a couple of kids helping me too. I had Jack. Let's see if I get this right.
Hey Dave, every time that you look off screen or like put
Okay,
your
I got it.
face
I
to
got
the
it.
side, we can't hear
Jack-
you.
Jack Buchelman, and where's the other kid? Kenneth Jarmello. These two kids busted butt. They helped me get all this stuff down. And so I want to thank Nathaniel and Rob from Backwoods, and I want to thank them two kids. And Bowen and Mark, you guys helped me. You guys rock. It was clarified what was going on with Pace, because I got numerous calls, and it's glad to see that we're getting those things replaced. Couple other things that I got here is I read the paper, and I thought this was pretty cool, and I'm going to read it. It says, "Thank you. A family member called 911 for me on November 30th. The prompt response of the Dunsmuir Castella Fire Department was very swift. I especially want to thank Angie for picking me up and carrying me to the ambulance. We are very fortunate to have such a great volunteer for our small town. Thank you to all for your services." And this is from Jimmy Lemire. I thought that was pretty cool. Tony and the rest of you guys, props. And I just really thought that was pretty cool. I want to give a special shout out and thank you to Stephen Bryant and all the volunteers at the Resource Center. You guys are doing an outstanding job, and there's a lot of people that couldn't even be getting by if it wasn't for what you guys are doing. All right, moving on. Do we have any committee reports?
I do have just an update. It's not one of our committees, but I did attend the Air Pollution Control District for Siskiyou County. And they are moving forward with a couple of different programs. We really just had a update from Jim Smith, who's the Air Pollution Control District staff member. He's also the Ag Commissioner. And if people need any information on anything with the Air Pollution Control District, please let me know. We do not have any vouchers available for the wood smoke program yet, but the Air Pollution Control District is working on a couple of different home improvement and efficiency programs that'll be eligible for residents who want to make their wood burning stoves more efficient. And that'll be coming up in the next couple of months. So when we do get the go ahead on when that program's available, I will make sure to bring that to a council meeting and make sure we get that out to Dunsmuir residents. The last time the program opened up, we didn't have any submissions from Dunsmuir, and then we did an announcement in the city council, and we ended up getting quite a few. I believe we got about 7 or 8 applications, which is great. So I will keep everybody abreast on the Air Pollution Control District programs for that.
Thank you very much.
And
All
then I
right.
do have a raised hand from Councilmember Arth.
Okay. Yeah, Pete?
Well, as vice chair of the finance committee, we did meet this week on Monday. We were missing the city manager, but we did have Charlie, our independent auditor, presenting on a confidential basis the preliminary results of his audit of the last fiscal year for the city of Dunsmuir. And Mario can make his own comments, But was it a clean audit? The answer is no. There are a number of holdover issues from last year's audit, and the awareness that the sum of COVID plus a likely sewer rate increase, plus a likely solid waste increase, plus very thin margins, plus the airport situation, there is a lot for us to deal with in the months ahead. We are planning to have, hopefully, the city manager and Blake respond to the holdover recommendations from the last audit before it comes to the full city council for their consideration.
Okay. Okay. Moving on. Number 7, approval of the minutes for January 7th, 2021. Do I hear a motion?
Happy to move
So,
them.
second.
Okay, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
We gotta do a roll. Oh, aye.
You don't
Do
have to,
roll?
you don't,
No,
you don't have to do a roll.
Nope. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? All right. Number 8. Consent agenda. I'm looking for a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
I move we adopt the consent agenda.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? Unanimous. Public hearing. CBD. Second public hearing for the Community Development Block Grant, Coronavirus Round 2 and 3.
So just to
Todd?
tee this item up, I introduced this item at the last city council meeting. It's essentially, the feds have released round 2 and round 3 of additional community development block grant funds, that are available to the city. And between the two of them, it's an additional 200,000 that we can add to, to our program, microenterprise and grant program. And under the coronavirus regulations, there's a little bit more relaxed approval for grants and for loans, and it's a no-brainer. It's just more money that we can do our best to shovel out to the community.
All right.
And real quick, let me just add that this is just a public hearing to get public comment. We will have a resolution come at a later time.
And one item on this, there is, beyond just helping businesses, there are some clauses in here like the ability to not, for structures that are not city hall, but that are vital to community services. You're able to do some facility upgrades. And what I'd like to bring back at a later date is to see about using some of this money to repair or replace the library's roof.
That sounds good. Is there any questions from council?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, I will open up to public. Any questions for the public?
I don't see any
Anybody?
hands, and I don't have anybody in the chat.
All right, I will close this item from public hearing. Moving on. Old business. Item A, committee discussion continuation. Todd, you want to pick us up?
Actually, I can grab this one.
All right, there you go.
Yeah. So I've got on the shared screen now, you should see the document that I did put in the chat as well. So if people want to open it up on their own computers, they can. And I apologize for not having this to you guys for the packet. I got really thrown off on Monday because it was a holiday and Wendy sent the agenda out on Friday. So I missed kind of my opportunity to do that. So I've got a couple of things. These are just the committees that we haven't resolved. I do want to point out that we do have a rate study ad hoc committee item in new business, so we don't need to talk about that here. And here I will
Oh,
make this
God,
fixed.
thank you.
Is that better? Okay. So just to kind of start us
Yes,
off,
ma'am.
some of the easier ones to pick off is starting with the CDBG loan appointment. Like I said, I will blow this one up. It is recommended. So I did have a chance to talk to John Kenny on the phone about this, but he wasn't able to issue a memo yet. But he recommends, along with SEDC, that the CDBG loan appointment, because you're dealing with such sensitive information like business plans and proprietary information, these items really shouldn't be in a public forum. And so the finance committee is probably not the best area to do this. And so it's recommended that we either stay with the one-member appointment because it's easier for scheduling, or to change it into an ad hoc with only 2 council members present. So when we do have the ad hoc, that does give us the ability to not have an open meeting with public information, but it does at least allow two council members to learn about the different CDBG loan applicants prior to them coming to council. So just to reiterate, any CDBG loan or program income, ultimately the loan that we're going to be given out is my understanding, and Blake can also correct me if I'm wrong, is that the final award issues are sent to city council before they're awarded to the applicants. But it's just the putting together these business plans, looking at the sensitive information is something we wouldn't necessarily want in an open forum. And so again, it is not recommended to make this a Brown Act or open committee due to sensitive business information. So Councilmember Arth, you have your hand up?
I do, because this relates to the audit that you're soon going to receive, and without revealing anything confidential, in the opinion of our auditor, our loan committee does not comport with state and federal law. That is, if we're going to be handing out federal money and state money, we need a loan committee, and our current arrangement does not pass muster and must be fixed in the year 2021.
And so I can add to this piece. So I've been on loan committees, redevelopment loan committees at Port Development Commission, Portland, and New York City. So what we need is the underwriter from Siskiyou County Economic Development, and we need city manager and finance director, and then it can be an ad hoc committee to review what we've looked at in terms of collateralization, and in terms of the business plan, and in terms of staff and Siskiyou Economic Development, a recommendation on a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and that satisfies federal purposes.
And yeah, I just want to.
Oh, go ahead.
All right, thanks, Julia. Yeah, I wanted to point out, Juliana, yeah, you're 100% correct on all of your information. That was perfect. And I just wanted to point out that, yes, Peter, the auditor did mention that the loan committee should meet more consistently. So that's one of the things that should be pointed out. So the other thing is that the loan committee doesn't have to actually have any city council members on it, but yes, it does report to the city council. And the city council is the ultimate, provider of the loans.
And in my experience, city council members have not been on the loan committee, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen. It's just, I haven't seen it. It's just more a report to council. But hey, whatever You know, if you want council members as part of that, then great. As long as recusal happens on, you know, conflicts of interest.
I mean, the specific comment from the auditor, if I heard it correctly, is the city of Dunsmuir is subject to audit. And if we don't get this right, we will be denied future funding on an audit basis if we don't get our loan committee correctly configured.
That could happen, and but I know what I'm doing on this. I've done it for years.
Yeah, and I think you might be referring to the single audit requirement and the accounts payable or the procurement policies. So that if we don't have procurement policies, then we may be ineligible for future federal funds through the single audit. But I feel the auditor's main point was to make sure the loan committee meets more frequently, a monthly or even quarterly.
Anybody
Right.
else? Before I open up the public comment?
Okay, yeah, so I think I agree with you, Vice Mayor Keisler. I think we'll cover each one of these things, ask questions, and move to public comment, and then discuss, because we're pretty much at the end point for some of these, and we can kind of wrap them up. So whenever you're ready, I do have one person ready for public comment.
Okay, would that be Mario?
Yep.
Okay, Mario, what you got there, brother?
Hello, am I there now?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to quickly type it up, but yeah, there's a few things on this loan committee. Typically, it's been done by businessmen in the city of Dunsmuir in the past. But the requirements, and I feel the city manager will be fully competent, but is we have to have a budget created. We have for CBGB loans. We have to get all the protocols and stuff created. So where there may not be a lot of loan business in the very first part of this committee, eventually there probably will be in the next couple of years. There's a lot of footwork to get done before we start giving out this money. And that's one of the things the auditor was trying to say. Thank you.
all right, thank you, Mario. Anybody else?
And just to reiterate, if you go to the participants section, you should have a little option to raise your hand there. Or if you're having problems finding it, just feel free to type in the chat that you'd like to make a comment. I am not seeing anybody else.
Okay. But then I'm gonna close public comment and open it back up to council. Bruce?
My thoughts are that if we don't have a need for a council member, we shouldn't put one on.
I'm
Just
sorry,
from the sense of we got enough going on right now, and I would think that rather than complicated, if the normal procedure that Todd is bringing up is not to have council members, I see no reason to put them on there.
And that might help with the consistent meeting, because it's,
Yeah.
you know, council members may have the more full schedule. Some of us have, you know, full-time jobs, so we don't have the ability to meet during the business hours that are needed. I would be comfortable supporting that.
I would too. Mario also mentioned that it was businessmen from the community, and Mario's also pointing out that this could be a conflict. So what do you guys think? Should we?
I move to remove council members from that appointment.
Do I hear a second?
One second.
Okay. I think I'm gonna do a roll call just because it would make, so all those in favor of removing council from this committee, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And that wasn't a roll call. Let's do it the other way. Bruce?
Aye. I was wondering.
Juliana?
Aye.
Peter?
Not voting. I want the mayor to be part of this discussion.
Okay.
You're an abstain.
Well, I'll vote aye too.
Okay.
I think that's just best for council. Okay, moving on to B, visioning process.
Oh, wait, we've got a couple of other committees to touch on real quick. Dave?
Not, okay, what do we got?
Juliana?
Yes.
Juliana?
Yeah.
Could I lead the discussion on the economic development?
Yeah, if you would like to, please go ahead.
Thank you. If you want to scroll up there.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
I have been the chair of this for 4 or 5 years now. And early on, what that consisted of was 2 members of the council and the chamber executive director. And the functioning of the committee at that point was basically to come up with ideas of how we could help make money. And there were lists and lists and lists of ideas. And the problem is that all of them required work, coordination, support, funding, and it never was able to gather any energy to really get anything done. And I think the elephant in the room about this is to recognize that because of the fact that we have such a small staff, that coming up with extra meetings and extra things like that to put on the city manager's plate is really counterproductive. I've been talking with Juliana and with Todd about a new direction for the committee, and I'm really excited about that. And what that would be a committee that brings together organizations that can help promote and develop an economic development plan. And those 2 organizations would be the chamber, once it's back up and functioning again, and the Economic Development Council. So I'm proposing that what this is an ad hoc committee that does not have to meet on a regular basis, but as a situation arises, or we could say once a quarter, whatever it is, that we bring together those people to help develop a strategy as to how to best utilize whatever few resources we have. So what I'm proposing is a ad hoc committee made up of 2 members of the council, with also the members being the chair of the president or ED of the, I guess it would be the president of the chamber, and a member from the Economic Development Council.
Councilmember Arth has his hand up.
Peter?
Well, I want to be fairly blunt. The lifeblood of the city of Dunsmuir is economic development and tourism. And as the notes indicate, the current committee has no charge, rarely meets. They've come up with no plan and no strategy.
And I told you why.
I've told the mayor I would like to come off of the finance committee. I would like to go on the economic development committee. And I think we desperately need public members on the committee, with the idea that, you know, with all due respect, Councilmember Deutsch really is not involved in Dunsmuir's economic survival.
That is not true, and I will respond to that.
Mayor Bryan is somewhat involved in Dunsmuir's economic revival, but this is an area where we have no chamber. We have a number of young business owners, entrepreneurs that want to organize and move our city forward. And it simply has not happened over the last several years, period, exclamation point.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to respond to that.
Bruce, you can respond.
I have been going to
Mr. Vice
C2C.
Mayor.
Go ahead, Bruce.
I have been going to C2C meetings every month for the last 4 years. That is part of economic development. I have
And what have you
been
done?
going, Mr. Arth, I'm speaking. I have been going to Siskiyou Revitalization Network meetings every month for the last 4 years. The reason we have not had meetings is because I do not want to add extra work on the city manager. That is the reason we have not been having meetings. And as far as economic development is concerned, that's why I have been working on the airport, because I believe the airport is an engine for economic development. So that's being blunt. And as
Where's
far
the
as you
plan?
being on the economic committee,
Gentlemen,
you would have so many conflicts, it would be incredible.
Where's the plan for the airport, Bruce? Where's
This
the
is not
budget?
on the discussion. Ask Juliana. She's the airport committee chair. Don't lay it on me.
Oh, yeah, no, blame it on someone else.
No, I'm blaming it on the reality.
Gentlemen. Okay.
How about we, if I may, Vice Mayor Keisler,
I'm
how about we
listening.
take a step back? So we understand, I think mutually, what has been going on in the past hasn't been working, and that's okay. We can try something different. So what I wanted to try and do today, just to kind of start us off, and thank you, Bruce, for the history of this. I think that is important. I did pose a couple of questions here. I did not, and I do not anticipate having a charge for this committee yet. There's a lot that's going on, like we've discussed. But I think what we can at least do tonight is try to at least kind of tackle these 3 questions that we have here. And just kind of just generally talk about what the possible purpose of this could be. Because it could take a lot of different forms. It could be an ad hoc committee. It could be a public committee. It could be something that we ourselves are not a part of, and we just, request a representative of the city council on a nonprofit board or something like that. There's a lot of different ways that this could work. I think for the purposes of tonight, with just the discussion that's been going on, I think maybe we can take a step back and just really just focus on the purpose of what we would hope to get out of this committee. Either in a bullet point form of, I hope that this committee could, do this, that's okay. And then, what agencies should be included in the committee. And I think starting with Councilmember Deutsch's point, what agencies should be included, or types of people, I think that should be another thing. So obviously, Councilmember Arth has been bringing up the business owners of the downtown. Councilmember Deutsch has brought up SEDC, which is Siskiyou Economic Development Council. Bruce, is there a representative for the Revitalization Network?
That's a good question. Well, really, the way that works is we have teams from each of the different cities that go to these meetings and develop things for tourism, et cetera. And so really, it's a team that we want to develop. And I think that, again, coming back to Mark Raleigh, the things he's been doing with the Second Saturday really kind of looks like a group of people that could be part of a new team going forward with SRN. So I think that would be the key there, is just to continue to have the chamber on there.
Okay. So I'm going to
And that reminds me, before I forget, in terms of my list of things that I've been doing for the last 4 years, it's been going to the chamber meetings every month for the last 4 years as well.
So, okay. All right, going back to Councilmember Arth, are there other agencies or individuals in the city or anything else that I've forgotten in this list?
No, I don't think so. I think Mark Raleigh will take a leadership role in reinventing what used to be the Chamber of Commerce. But for the 12 businesses that I'm trying to help incubate in Dunsmuir, all of them are frustrated with the barrier between talking to City Hall, the barrier between coming up with an economic development plan. Most specifically for 2021, are we going to have railroad days? Are we going to have Brewfest? Are we going to have any community events that will draw people to our city? They're putting their money and their heart and their soul into opening businesses in Dunsmuir, and they feel unsupported. I'm just telling you that.
Thank you. That gives me really good information. Again, we've got the question of, general economic development focus, putting these items in here. And just to let members of the public know, I am going to remind Vice Mayor Keisler is going to open some public comment for this. So if you want to queue up, I do have at least 2 people who would like to speak to this. So tourism, I think people are pretty clear from what I heard from Councilmember Arth and Councilmember Deutsch that tourism should be included. Correct?
Certainly, yes.
Okay.
It's really two different sides. It's tourism and then economic development beyond that, with a strategy of how we're going to find particular things that we can reach out to. Example would be the piece that went out in the business magazine talking about the airport that has already brought in one person who wants to become part of the community because of that article. So those are the kind of well-positioned outreaches that we can look forward to if we have a good strategy from a team like that.
Okay. Vice Mayor Keisler, you've been very quiet.
I'm just absorbing and listening.
Sure.
We
What
got
do you
people
think?
out there in the public, anybody else, council, you guys got anything to say before I open up the public comment?
I'd like to
let's
hear
open
from the public.
Yeah, that's, I'm curious. All right, at this time, I'll open up the public comment. Who's first, Ms. Juliana?
I do have Devin Warner who requested first, and then we have Ahmet Tassi. So Devin, you're going to be going ahead.
Hello. Hello, council members. I'm Devin Warner, 5911 Shasta Avenue. I want to reiterate what Council Member Arth just said about business owners feeling unsupported. Many of them join the Chamber of Commerce and find that it's a giant waste of time, and anything that the city can do to try to revive that would be great. You know, I know you guys provide a spot for the chamber to have offices and stuff. Well, that's not on right now, but I think it's important to try to revive the Chamber of Commerce. And my other comment is tourism is definitely going to be an important economic driver for Dunsmuir. You know, if you look at the history of Dunsmuir and where Dunsmuir's prosperity has come from, you know, tourism is really what has survived. And there's a lot that can be done with it that's not being done with it. And I applaud you for going that route. But I want to make a pitch, though, for making sure that Dunsmuir isn't like, you know, Fisherman's Wharf or Mount Shasta. Excuse me if that's offensive to anybody, but I really want us to focus on, you know, support special incentives, perhaps for businesses that support local needs. You know, wouldn't it be great if people could buy shoes in Dunsmuir instead of driving to Reading? There are so many services and goods that we do not have here. And it would be excellent if we did. It's nice to have restaurants, but we need much more. So anything that you can do to help these businesses open, I think it's really important. And I think it's got to work hand in hand with the distressed buildings ordinance. You know, we have to do something about all the storefronts in Dunsmuir that are just not, you know, there's nothing there, or it's light industry. It's not something that the public can approach. And, you know, we lost one of our best retail stores last year when Tiris moved to Mount Shasta, and she's making plenty of money there. But in the meantime, we haven't had her, and her storefront is still empty. So as a planning commissioner, I am definitely going to be more interested in favoring businesses that want to open in the historic district, that have
Devin,
a
that's your
public
time.
space. And anyway, that support the people that live here as well as tourists. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Ahmet Tassi, you should be able to unmute yourself.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Ahmet Tassi. I live on 4019 Forest Lane. I would like to say something about the the Economic Development Committee. I think it is a very important committee that we have to work on. It can be, it might help Dunsmuir to actually prosper in terms of financial needs. Being inactive for 4 or 5 years, I think it is sad. We should be able to, maybe City Council should be able to get this committee in action as soon as possible and let public public members have public members in that committee. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome to join. All right.
If anyone else would like to make a comment, please feel free to raise your hand. Oh, sorry, Mario. I will find you. Thank you.
Mario?
Let me find him. All right. Mario, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Yes, this is a issue that goes way back, but I would just ask council to think about and recognize the fact that kind of creating one more organization to help another organization. We do have a Chamber of Commerce. That is the place for the Chamber of Commerce. We do, and being in the treasurer, being that we fund the Chamber of Commerce. Now we're going to create a new committee, and again, it always takes some time and funding. It's going to take city manager time. It's going to take staff time. You know, really, this is definitely a Chamber of Commerce item. I understand what Mr. Douche does as far as communicating with groups outside of the city and helping to organize on a more macro scale than the micro scale, but our energy should be towards Chamber of Commerce, which is a private non-for-profit group, and they should be the ones coming to the more macro version that this original committee was designed to be. That's my feelings. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mario. Anybody else?
We do have a hand from Ahmet Tassi again. Would you like to allow him to speak again? He did not get to his full 3 minutes.
Okay, go ahead. Ahmed.
All right. Ooh, let me find you.
Go ahead, Ahmed.
Sorry, I had to find him and unmute him.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, thanks again. I agree with Mr. Rubino that economic development should be part of the Chamber of Commerce, but we don't have a Chamber of Commerce. We have destroyed it. We had several directors have been resigned. I don't know why. Now we are trying to rebuild another one. But while we are building this, we really don't have time. As a business owner, we are suffering in Dunsmuir. We need to start talking about the issues and find problems with all the find solutions for all the problems that is laying ahead of us. Thank you.
You. Okay.
All right, I do not have anybody else queuing up to make a comment.
Well, let's
Mr.
bring
Mayor?
this back to council. What do you guys think here?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes?
I would like to point out that the Chamber of Commerce is not gone. It was hit really hard when the attacks on the city and the paper came around. That was the impetus that caused the breakup of some of the members of the chamber. And right now, they are planning on meeting for the second time, just like they did the last meeting, which they meet every second Tuesday of each month. And they'll be meeting again come February. And Mark Raleigh is more than likely going to end up being the president, but the chamber is not gone. The problem is right now is that so much has been going on that there's a new need for energy, and that's what we're working on. I'm not going to give up on that. I'm not going to say the chamber is bad. So what? We're going to keep working to make it good.
But Bruce, you are aware of Ahmed's disposition that they need help now.
Well, I understand, but right now they're having trouble with the 4 members that are meeting right now because of what went on during the election. And the point is that we have to get them back up and going. It's a nurturing thing right now. They're in an incubator. You can ask Todd. You know, basically, you had a group of people, a board that has been working probably for 4, 5, 10 years. They're burned out. And then all of a sudden, everything went crazy when the newspaper ads started coming. And that's when people started saying, oh, the heck with this. I'm not going to be a part of this. And that's when it went down. Now, I've been working with both Tony who's the VP right now. I've been working with Luann, who's been working as executive director. I've been working with Mark Raleigh. We're going to bring it back. But to think that we have to have it right now belies the fact that it took a hell of a hit back in September and October.
So I just want to let you know that Councilmember Arth does have his hand up.
Okay, Pete.
Well, I am sick to death of the blame game. From the time I moved to Dunsmuir 12 years ago, I was disappointed when I was on the city council, when I was mayor. As I'm on the city council now, the businesses of Dunsmuir have never had a voice in city governance. What I hear from the old time businesses is if you want to survive in Dunsmuir, keep your head down and don't engage yourself in city governance. So I join Ahmed and all of my other business tenants that are trying to hang on for dear life and saying we don't have time for that attitude anymore. If we're going to survive and prosper, we need to work together, the city and the businesses, and we simply do not have that now.
What do we do? Do we order them to do things? Because right now they're volunteers and I'm trying to get them together.
The younger businesses see no value in the chamber, as other people have testified.
Well,
Peter,
and I think another thing, gentlemen, let's just take a step back. You know, criticism is not necessarily meant to put people down. I think it is a valid viewpoint for people to be unhappy with the chamber. And Bruce, I think people do appreciate the work that you're helping with the chamber, and people do appreciate the work of the chamber. But I think the discussion here today is just highlighting that there's obviously a need. You know, if we did go forward with an economic development committee, it doesn't necessarily replace the chamber at all. And I don't think it does. And I don't think that's what we're trying to do. But I think what's being communicated is a definite need for some kind of direction sooner rather than later. And, you know, again, these committees are controlled by the city council. If we were to put together an economic development committee that develops an economic plan for the entire city, they could change their purpose later. Maybe the chamber within the next year finds its footing, gets a really good, robust chamber membership. You know, that may change our opinion of this committee, and maybe it won't be needed in the future. That would be the ideal, honestly, is to have the chamber take over. This is definitely a lot of the things that are in what we're looking for in this committee should be done by a chamber. And that's just from my experience working with chambers in other small towns. But we unfortunately don't have control, like you said, over the chamber organization. They are independent from the city council. And that's a good thing sometimes, because city councils sometimes get attracted by the shiny bauble, and then they fall off a cliff. And so it's good to have an organization controlled by business owners and not the city council. I think what we're looking at right now is trying to supplement something while the chamber does its thing. And like I said, I think the chamber is included as what agencies or groups or individuals need to be in this committee. So I think maybe this is an opportunity for them to listen a little bit more. Maybe it's going to be a different avenue for them to find the new ideas. And again, the comments Councilmember Arth is bringing up with some of the younger business owners don't feel comfortable going to this. You know, maybe this is an opportunity, or maybe it's a forum for them to come, you know, list what their concerns are and, you know, why they don't feel supported. And maybe it's an opportunity for the chamber to really listen to that. So I think, you know, again, the criticism of the chamber and the current environment in the downtown, you know, it can be hurtful, and it can definitely put people down.
But I think taking a step back, we're just trying to open communication and understand what we need to do to be better. And it sucks. It sucks to have people criticize your work and criticize something that you're very passionate about. I'm very familiar with that. I work for the city of Mount Shasta, and that's what their residents do to me every other day. That's why I like working in Dunsmuir on the council, because people are much nicer. And I think, yeah, it's not meant to be.
Let's be real. The Chamber of Commerce has come to the city of Dunsmuir over the last several years asking for general fund money to support the chamber and the community events. Why is that? Because the business members won't pay their membership dues. They don't believe in the Chamber of Commerce. Are we?
So what good does it do to bring that up?
Chamber?
What good does it do to keep laying layer on layer on layer?
Okay, listen.
Of a tax on them?
People, what I'm hearing is we need to form a committee temporarily, so until the Chamber of Commerce can get to where they need to be, supportive of the community. Peter, you made mention that you would like to be on this committee.
I
don't
do.
want that.
I'm willing to give
I don't
up the
want that.
finance committee for this committee.
I do
So
not
again,
want that.
That's
Well,
okay.
Bruce?
So just to reiterate, we're not talking about appointments tonight. So it's okay.
And one of my reasons for wanting to be on the Economic Development Committee are the big three. I want renewable energy in the city of Dunsmuir. I want broadband in the city of Dunsmuir. I want the California Theater reopened for the city of Dunsmuir. Those are my three goals in the 24 months or 23 months I got left.
So
All right.
if
So
Oh,
we're
go
not
ahead.
looking. What are we doing here? Are we looking to form a committee, appoint somebody
No.
to a committee?
No.
Just talking about it?
So here's what I propose, and again, open to discussion. So we have some input from members of the public. We have some input from us as council members. We don't have Matthew's input yet, which is okay. We can get that at the next meeting. What I would propose to do is to develop a series of committee formations or recommendations. One of the recommendations will be not to form a committee and the pros and cons of that. Just to give us, for our next meeting, just to give us a couple of things that we can talk over for committee formation, because I think we're pretty much on the same page that we do need to move forward with some of these tasks and goals. How we move forward with it is what we're not in agreement on yet, and that's okay.
Absolutely.
So I will develop a couple series of different hows to get to, this list right here. If people in the public, members of the public or city council members want to reach out to their constituents or business owners and want to add to this list, that is okay. You can email me and I will add it to the list so that we can talk about that. But I think the biggest thing, and Councilmember Deutsch, I don't want you or the chamber to feel personally attacked. I think one of the big things that came out is that there needs to be a big open communication with business owners. I think that's going to be the chief thing coming out of all of this. And there's a lot of different ways we can do that. So if it's okay with the council members on this particular item, we'll come back at the next meeting with a couple of options of how to move forward. And again, it's not going to be an appointment. We're not going to get there yet at the next meeting because I think there's quite a bit we have to talk about in terms of how we'd like to get there. It's okay to take this slowly.
Yeah, just let me say one quick thing, and it's not going to be antagonistic. I just want to make it clear that as far as economic development, it's been my goal since I came on the council. It's why I pushed the airport, because I believe it's the key to economic development. It's why I've been going to all these meetings for the last 4 years. And it's not because I don't look at what we haven't done as some kind of an attack on me or the chamber or anything else. It's reality. It's reality that all the time we have to figure out how do we deal with limited resources, and pulling people together for meetings is not always the best thing. So it has been my goal ever since I came on the committee, and I want to continue to do that.
All right. Thank you, Bruce. It's appreciated. All right. So we're going to come back to this. Fiona is going to bring something back. I think it's time that we move on.
Okay, we can do
we all
some of
agree
these
as to
other
that?
things. Cool. Yeah, we can do some of these at the next meeting. Okay. All
Well,
right.
and Madam Mayor, Madam former Mayor, obviously this flows into the visioning process. The visioning process and the plans that come out of that will drive both our budget and our priorities. So you could see the pieces coming together.
I understand. And that kind of segues into the visioning process. So based on the input that I got in December, January, I believe it was in December when we visited this last, there was a general consensus that we would like to move forward with some kind of visioning process, and that it be a very robust public process. So unfortunately, my proposal is a non-proposal. Because of COVID-19 and the restrictions that we have on meeting in person until at least about, I believe it's 70 to 80% of the population is vaccinated against the virus, you know, we really don't have an opportunity to do that robust public outreach. And so right now, the current estimations for California opening up and allowing in-person meetings is June 2021. So I know that adds to our timelines for visioning, but unfortunately, as we've brought up in previous meetings, most of the residents of Dunsmuir don't have capabilities to be on Zoom with us or are not comfortable on Zoom. You know, obviously the survey that we sent out before was not necessarily the most robust in terms of a visioning process. It did get us some good information for ranking certain things for that budget at the time, but I'm very concerned about the quality of work we would be able to do without being able to do in-person workshopping. This is something that, you know, really does need to be done with mapping. It needs to be done with really interactive charrettes or workshops. So I'm proposing to table the visioning process discussion until at least May or June of this year, when we're actually able to start meeting in person. The second concern that I have, I'm sorry?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. The second concern that I have is funding for this visioning process. It would be advantageous for the city to pursue grant funding and hire a third-party firm to conduct the visioning process. And this is because Rico Tinsman is a wonderful planner, but we don't have a budget set aside for him to do this type of work. We could have him develop a quote for what he thinks it would cost him, or, you know, if we want to ask him to do a quote for how much it would cost to do a robust visioning process. I think having the third party, though, would be better. If Rico is okay with it too, we would talk about that. Just because we do have, you know, limited human capital. We do only, it's really not going to work very well having the city manager, myself, and Rico put this together. We really would benefit from having a third party just focus on this aspect, and have them conduct the visioning processes, develop the tools, and then give the city council a final memo and recommendations. Again, you know, this is something that needs to kind of be talked about, and maybe in the interim, as we have between now and June, we could discuss, you know, if a council member really wants to get on board with this, really start looking at grant documents. The McConnell Foundation has some open grants, there's some private ones. That would be really advantageous of us to do. So maybe the hiatus time would give us that time to organize our grant dollars and be able to put something really, really good together that, you know, would be the product that we want to see. I can assist with these things, but again, I have a full-time job. And when you are putting together a really robust visioning process, it takes a full-time job to do that. And it's just not realistic for me to do it with my volunteer time. So that's what I have for you guys today. I know it's not necessarily the process that you want to see at this point, but this is my recommendation based off of my professional background. But Peter, you have a question?
No, I have a comment and a commitment to you as council member. My comment is I totally agree with the entirety of what you just said. if you and the city manager will work with the rest of us on whether it's a business improvement district or something similar to that, I will help organize the Ahmets and the owners of the Mossbury Hotel and the businesses that I'm trying to attract to Dunsmuir. We will form a nonprofit. We will work with the city to attract funding so that we have a coherent plan that supports business and our historic district. But I simply respect your expertise. And finally, this is going to be a big step forward for Dunsmuir. So thank you.
And I will bring more information on the BID thing at the next meeting too for the historic item.
You already said that, and I appreciate that.
I appreciate that too. Let me open this up to public comment. Is there anybody out there with their hands raised?
I do not have any at the moment.
Okay, I believe that you were about to make a motion.
Was there any other discussion on this? You know, again, I'm open to any other thing. I just, you know, again,
it's the right thing to do.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't mind making the motion to table the visioning process discussion until the first meeting of June in 2021.
Do I hear a second? Okay.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. All right. Now we're down to new business. Item A, the Finance Committee appointment.
As I understand it, we're doing that tonight.
We are doing that tonight.
If we feel comfortable, yeah. So just to reiterate, so the Finance Committee appointments are 2-year appointments. Councilmember Arth and Mayor Bryan are the current appointees to that who are up. Councilmember Arth and the mayor may re-up or request to re-up their appointment, and the council can vote on that. Or if we want to propose other members, we can do that as well.
I would like to go back on what Mario said earlier. We've got 2 superstars, but it's time to let other members of the team play ball. I, for one, would like to be on the Finance Committee, and I would sure like to work with Juliana. I hope council is on board with that.
I would be happy to serve. Thank you.
All right. Peter, how do you feel about that?
I'm immensely proud of what the current mayor and I have accomplished.
We all are.
This is the only committee that has citizen members on it, that has the attention of the city manager and our revenue officer. And we have a 2-year budget. So I've already been as open as I can with my colleagues in the 2 years I have left. I want to put my energies in other places. Big Dave, if you go backwards, I'm going to beat you up. Don't do it.
I have no intentions on going backwards.
Okay, well,
I'm looking forward to carrying on the baton.
Backwards is sitting like a puppet saying, Mr. City Manager and Mr. Revenue Officer, whatever you say is okay with me. That has not served us well in the past, and Mario Rubino will say so.
I have no intentions on that.
Then I'm fine. I just want to move on to another committee.
Okay, so Bruce, let me have your input on that.
I'm fine with that,
Okay.
but we
Would
have
you
to
like
do
to
public
open this?
comment.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going. At this point, I'd like to
Cool.
open it up for public comment. I don't see nothing, so who talked to me?
I do not see anybody. And then Mario did give his public comment related to this item during the general public comment.
Yes, he did. All right. Well, being that there's no public comment, I'm going
I
to close.
move that we appoint Dave Keisler and Julianne Lucchese to the Finance Committee.
Do I hear a second?
I'll
I'd rather
second.
wait till the mayor's back, but I'm not running the meeting.
I'm sure you would. I've spoke with him about this, so.
I'll second.
Okay. Okay. All those in favor of me and
Aye.
Julie
Aye.
on the finance committee, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Thank you, council, for your support. Juliana, I look forward to working with you immensely. And Peter and Matthew, trust us. You guys have done an outstanding job, and we will carry the torch forward into the future. Again, thank you for your vote of confidence, and I eagerly look forward to being on this committee.
Thank
Moving
you.
on.
Yeah.
New item B, new business. It's the rate study ad hoc committee appointment.
So this is the
Manager?
rates. Yeah, this is the rate study for, I believe it is water, but city manager, you'll know more than me.
So it's water and wastewater. I think you guys know that there was some miscounting on so our projections into the future are shaky and not based on facts. So PACE is picking up one part of it because of their mistake, and we figured if we're going to do one, we should do the other at the same time.
And I believe PACE is doing the rate study right now, and they're doing part of that kind of free of charge because part of the miscalculation was on their end. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, what happened is we gave them a list of hookups, and we outlined on that list of hookups, and we have it in the office, which ones are duplicates. And somehow they ignored it, missed it, and ended up counting, duplicate, triplicate hookups by the same party as active households.
And I do have a hand for Councilmember Arth.
Go ahead,
Well,
Peter.
having been involved in this, here's the preview of coming attractions. Between the city and Pace Engineering, there are 200 phantom accounts on the sewer side.
Yep.
We set our rates assuming 200 accounts that don't exist. So we know, especially to handle debt coverage, we are going to have to raise sewer rates in 2021. It will not be popular, but we have no choice.
Correct.
At the same time, Pace Engineering has 5-year master plans for the city of Dunsmuir, and the 5-year master plan for our water system is due for renewal. So Pace Engineering is going to be working on updating our 5-year water plan, including the downtown tank, main line replacement, and we have an emergency item because, as the auditor Charlie pointed out, your sewer fund is in the negative, and that's not a good thing. And then the third ring of the circus is depending, and Blake explained this at our finance committee, depending on which vendor we go with for our solid waste services and the services the committee or the community wants, green waste, solid waste, recycling, it's likely that solid waste rates are going to go up as well. But it makes Pace happier if we replicate what we did in the years gone by and have a rate study ad hoc committee. Big Dave has served on the committees. Bruce Deutsch has served on the committee. I've served on the committee. But for community acceptance purposes, we need to have a rate study ad hoc committee ASAP.
Agreed.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
I think that looking back on how the attempt to raise our taxes, our sales taxes went, The key item for this is that we have to have a much more aggressive outreach in order to communicate clearly why and what we're doing. And since I've been on a couple of these now, if you all want, I'd be willing to serve on this with the idea that I would focus on community outreach.
Can you work with Peter? Peter, you want to be on this?
No, thank you, sir. I've already indicated my priorities.
Okay.
Councilmember Keisler, I believe you've been on a committee as well and were very instrumental helping get the word out to people. I think you'd be a very good appointment to this committee if you're so inclined.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, they got to know. So, okay, I'll do that. Me and Bruce will be on this committee. Everybody okay with that?
Julie, I want to move.
Well, do you want to open this up for public comment?
Yeah, I got to go to public comment. So anybody got a hand up?
No, I do not have a hand
Okay.
or a chat.
I'm going to close to public comment. I'll open it up to council.
I will
I'll
say the success of prior ad hoc committees was to include the community. So
You're
if you
absolutely
don't
right.
have at least 3 public members, you're making a big mistake.
I agree.
I agree.
Well, I think for at least for tonight, let's at least appoint 2 council members to get this ball rolling. If we do need to open this up for public members on it too, we can come back to that at a future meeting. But I think at least we'll have 2 members to assist at this point.
Okay.
So I'm willing to make a motion to appoint Councilmember Deutsch and Vice Mayor Keisler to the Rate Study Ad Hoc Committee.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All right then, Bruce. One more time, huh?
Into the breach.
Yeah.
Dave, you're going to get
Well-
so much budget information.
Oh my
You're on
God.
2 committees with numbers now.
I mean,
Okay.
the reality is you will have community support. Since I moved up here, there has never been a serious 218 challenge to any of the rate increases for water or sewer or solid waste because our citizens, our community understands this is reality. So just include them so it's a community decision and we'll be fine.
Yes.
We will.
Okay. All right. So we're going to move on to item 12, future agenda items.
So just to let you guys know, for the next meeting, I have bringing back the business improvement district item that was mentioned earlier with the historic district piece.
Thank you.
And then, yep. And then would you like, I do have a couple more committee appointment items that were on the list that we didn't get to tonight, which is okay. So I'll bring those back as well for discussion.
That sounds
And then
good.
I have, yep. And then I have the marching orders for the economic development piece. I'm just going to call it piece right now because we have not confirmed if it's a committee yet.
Okay.
So we'll do that. I've got those 3. And then, like I said, I will continue to poke John Kenny for the information on the code enforcement piece. Hopefully we can have that. But I will get that to you as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what John has to say as far as if our hands are tied or not, you know?
What is the issue for John Kenny to discuss?
Just to reiterate, so
Go ahead, Juliana.
oh yeah. So we had that closed session a couple meetings back, and not to divulge into that too much, but it's the understanding of city staff at this point that we are not able to enforce the vacant building ordinance due to COVID-19 because it may be considered an economic taking. So I've requested a more in-depth memo from John Kenny in terms of code enforcement in general during COVID-19 and what we're able to do without putting the city into a legal issue and what we should probably wait on. So John's going to give us a memo so that we can discuss a little bit further because I believe the big concern that we have is making sure that anything that we do regarding code enforcement it cannot be construed as an economic taking and have the city be taken to court over that.
we would spend a lot of money doing that, and I don't think that would put us in a good position. So so I'm going to get that information for everyone so we can have a good, well-rounded discussion on what we can and can't do legally or shouldn't do legally. I think that's the big thing.
If that requires a closed session, let's have a closed session, because I don't understand how the cities of Weed and Mount Shasta can move forward and the city of Dunsmuir cannot. Nobody is talking about economic takings. And if we're going to have an economic future, we have to deal with empty, rundown buildings. It's non-negotiable.
Yeah. So not to get,
You have to say.
yeah. Yeah. And just a point of clarification, Mount Shasta is doing absolutely no code enforcement.
Oh, that's not true. It may not be up to your standards, but that's not true.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody else got any other future agenda items?
I do want the city to plan for and announce free pickup days during 2021. It's important to clean up the community, to support our code enforcement officer, and to support our fire safety efforts.
I hear that. Todd, can you look into when we can get when can we get a free cleanup day? My thing is blown up. I'm going to give Mario an opportunity to talk because he didn't get his hand up in time. Can you unmute Mario, please?
Okay.
Hello?
Mario.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Hello? Okay.
Yeah, you're here.
Yeah, I was trying to speak to this issue. Am I allowed to speak on future agenda items?
Anything you want.
Okay, so right now we are halfway through the year, and as treasurer, we have overspent the budget for contracts in planning. In fact, planning itself is the planning department is totally overspent for half the year. Council needs to sit down. If they're going to do all this economic development, all your plans that you guys have got lined out, you need to sit down, redo the budget, and figure out how you're going to pay for it. But honestly, right now, we can't even pay Rico Tennisman because we're that far over budget. So we need to make some adjustments. And council, you need to do a budget amendment almost immediately. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, I got another one from Ahmed, who wants to talk about future agenda items.
So normally we don't do public comment during this, but because we have opened it up, we will have to allow everyone the equal opportunity. Yep. So just FYI. So Ahmed, you should be unmuted.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Thank you very much again for the opportunity.
It's okay.
Yeah, I was wondering if we can add, I know this is going to be a big project. It might take a few years, 5 years, 10 years, affordable housing at the airport and business center. If we can at least start talking about it, chat about it, I think it could be a big milestone. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
One moment. Shireen.
Good evening, Shireen.
First of all, thank you, Peter, for your suggestion. I did have an interview with Matthew about the goals of Dunsmuir that I'm going to write up for next week's paper. I'm interested. Everybody on the council has, praised Steve Bryan and all the work he's doing. And I'm curious to know if you guys would do something, because I'd like to write an article about him and all he's doing. If you would want to acknowledge him and, for all that he's done for Dunsmuir, I would like to do an article on that. And I just wanted to know if that's something that you guys would kind of want to do in the future.
I'd be on board, Shireen. Why don't me and you get together later and we'll bring it to council appropriately. Sound
Perfect.
Good?
Great.
Right.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Well, I will add to the article as well. It is simply a blessing from the Lord to have the Dunsmuir Community Resource Center led by Steve Bryan, and he spreads his talents from one end of Siskiyou County to the other. But he has been successful at attracting grants, in attracting community support, and he's made our small town a better place.
Yes, he has. Good words, Peter. Okay. I've got something that I would like to bring up the city manager to see if it can be resolved. I have a letter from Catherine Wallace. She's a good Dunsmuir friend of mine. And she lives on Wood Street. And the letter in my hand says, but access to my house is on Percy Alley, which, by the way, it would be really nice to have a street sign that said that. I guess there's an alley that goes to part of Wood Street, and it is actually called Percy. Is there a way we could get a street sign for the neighborhood? So that's something I'd bring up to you, Todd. It was a request.
So the short answer is I don't know. I need to have Mark take a look at it. I'm not sure what we can do and what we can't, and I don't know what it looks like, but I'll get out there tomorrow.
It was asked for me to bring to the attention, so I fulfilled my obligation.
Okay.
And Miss Wallace, we're looking into it. Is there any other things for tonight before we adjourn?
Good, thank you.
Peter?
No, sir. Good job. Thank you. I move we adjourn.
Okay. Bruce, you good? Second it.
I'll second it.
All right. I conclude this meeting of the Dunsmuir Chamber of Commerce, City Council Chamber of Commerce. I got Chamber of Commerce on my mind now, you guys. Everybody have a good evening. Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
Thank you.